There's so much you can do with AI inside Salesforce, but with so many options, most people don't know where to start. So I'm going to take you through the 5 stages of AI within Salesforce. Hey everyone, and welcome to Salesforce for Recruiters. I'm your host, Brad Owens, and I was just like you. I spent well over a decade in recruiting using various pieces of technology that never really fit what I wish they could do for me. And then I saw Salesforce, and I went, where has this been all my life? So since then, I've dedicated my career to helping both Salesforce and the recruiting world understand how this platform can be used for the recruiting business, and I'm here to help you. So, on today's episode, there has been so much talk about Agentforce and Salesforce AI and all of these new agents and things that are coming out for the Salesforce platform. But when I talk to customers, customers are really just asking me, like, what can I do? Where do I start? I don't even know the first steps to take. So, that's what we're going to cover off on today's episode. I'm going to take you through the 5 different stages that most businesses go through when they're starting to use AI within Salesforce. And I'm going to tell you the pros and cons of kind of each scenario and then where maybe you should think about starting based on your needs. So let's dig into it. The very first ever AI kind of features inside of Salesforce happened to do with a technology called Einstein. And that was their very first foray into AI inside of Salesforce. And what Einstein was able to do is give insights based on certain stages or certain objects. And I'll give you an example. So let's talk about opportunities. So opportunities inside Salesforce are, in the recruiting world, kind of jobs we have the potential to win the ability to go after, contracts we have the ability to win, those sorts of things. So inside of Salesforce, Einstein's able to look at these opportunities based on which stage it's in, how many conversations have happened with the potential buyer or with, in our case, the client. It's able to kind of give you a predictive score of how likely is that to really close? How likely is that to be at the value that you think it's going to be? What are some kind of risk factors based on the amount of interactions that you've had with this individual? So Einstein's able to look at your opportunity and come up with those values. Now, this still very much is possible inside of Salesforce, but this is kind of that first implementation of AI. And that's typically where people start. Now, this is based on Einstein understanding your specific data. And the data set that it needs to come up with these is like in the many hundreds, and the suggested is about 1,000. So 1,000 different records that you have inside of Salesforce to get the most out of this predictive AI of Einstein inside of Salesforce. The next level of AI inside of Salesforce has to do with more of the assistive capabilities of AI. And this is really akin to what Microsoft came out with their Copilot. And honestly, Salesforce even called their little sidebar the Copilot as well. And it started as more of Einstein Copilot. So what happens is in your environment of Salesforce, you get a little side window that pops up and you have the ability to ask questions based on the context of where you're at. Now, they've renamed that Agentforce, and it's Agentforce in context. So while you're looking at a record, you have the ability to interact with an AI agent on the side of your data. And you can do things like, hey, summarize this record for me, write me the job description for this job, summarize this hiring manager, what do they typically like to see in candidates? And you're able to interact with it and kind of summarize things, get particular fields updated right there as you're using it. So it's more of that assistive. It's not really doing anything that is taking a whole lot of workload off your plate, but it's at least assisting with doing that. It's taking a portion of that work. So it's assisting you in your job in context. So that's kind of the second stage that people go through. And these days, it's primarily where people want to start because AI can replace a lot of the features from Einstein before. So that Agentforce Copilot kind of experience is what most people are dealing with today. Now, the next stage I see people go through when they're starting to take advantage of AI inside of Salesforce is taking advantage of the automated actions that you can have. So essentially what you're doing is you're telling Agentforce to listen for a certain set of criteria to be met and then take action based on that. Now, those of you who've been watching many of the videos may understand that this is what a flow inside of Salesforce can do. That's their automation engine, where I would suggest most people start. But as a part of a flow, now we're starting to integrate AI into that. So we're starting to allow Agentforce to interact with those flows. So now there might be part of this automation where you need to have some intelligence baked in. So instead of at this particular stage, send this email out that says this, you're adding just a little bit of AI context to it. So you're saying, send out an email at this stage, but write up a summary based on what the hiring manager likes to see and include that in maybe just a interview prep note. So using a little bit of AI, but in your automation, right? So you're still automating based on those rules engines, based on the workflows of an actual flow inside of Salesforce, but you're using AI tendencies. That's where most people take the next step after they are using it as an assistive technology, kind of beside their records. They're taking more of that automation aspect. The next natural progression after you've automated some things inside of Salesforce using AI pieces is to then augment part of your process completely with AI. That's where Agentforce really starts to come into its own. So with Agentforce, you're able to replace a full part of your process with an AI agent. So in a typical scenario, what you're able to see is, let's say we have had applicants come in, we have added them to a particular stage in our ATS. Now we want the next 2 or 3 stages to be done by AI. So we could, let's say, send out an interview request for the next available time, and then we have this person fill out something. And then when they fill out that potential survey or whatever it might be, we have AI grade that. If the grade is above a certain section, then we move them to the next stage. So we have these processes that are baked into these automations, but that's truly augmenting a large portion of the job for us. Now, the key differentiator between augmentation and what we're going to talk about next, which is complete autonomous AI workflows, is that with augmentation, there's a human in the loop. So there is something that this human still has to do as part of the process. Maybe it's an approval, maybe it's a check-in to make sure AI is actually doing the right things with the right people. But augmentation, what sets it apart from truly autonomous AI is that there's a human in the loop, but it's still taking a larger portion of your process off your plate. So then the very last stage of AI inside Salesforce, that holy grail, it's complete autonomous AI Agentforce. When we want to use Agentforce to completely build an autonomous part of our workflow, we're saying that this employee, this Agentforce agent, has the capacity to fully run this business process on their own. Now, in Salesforce land, there's really 2 particular use cases that are taking full advantage of this autonomous Agentforce workflow. And that comes down to more of a sales development rep and a customer service rep. Now, those 2 cases are kind of going fully autonomous before most of the other use cases that we're seeing because they're very predictive. They're very, if this happens, then do that type of workflows that we can really automate easily inside of Salesforce. So for a sales development rep for a recruiting team, they may be going out trying to source new leads that could potentially come in and be jobs that we could work on, new clients that we may want to engage with. That's what an SDR rep can do. And there are plenty of organizations that are actually doing that today. So that is a fully autonomous process. And then on the customer service side, for us in the recruiting world, this could be servicing talent out on assignment. Maybe you are a staffing organization that has a number of different people out in the field. You don't want them to have to always call back to a customer service rep or to call back to the recruiter that they've been using, but you want to still be able to support them in the field. That's where these customer service type agents are really coming in handy. So I wouldn't say that anyone out there can really jump to these scenarios immediately. There's a lot of your process that you have to be very, very clear on, and taking these steps through these AI stages of Salesforce may actually help you get to that point faster. So I wanted to lay these out for you so that you understand where other people in the industry are using AI inside of Salesforce and how they progress through those stages, so that 1, you can understand where you're at and where those next steps may be, and 2, if you really want to take advantage of everything, you can understand what you need to have solidly in place before you can take full advantage of this true augmentation and autonomous workflow of Agentforce, but it is completely possible. I want to put it out there. I've seen people do it. It is possible. So hopefully that helps you cut through a little bit of the hype and, oh my gosh, AI is going to change everything, and put that more into actionable context for you so that you can understand the steps you need to take full advantage of Agentforce inside of Salesforce. If you like this kind of content, there is plenty more at salesforceforrecruiters.com. Since you made it this far in the video, I also want to offer up a special little offer for you. If you email me your questions about using Salesforce for recruiting to hello@bradowens.com, I'm going to answer your question directly on the next video. And if I get enough questions, I do a Q&A episode every once in a while. So please do email me, hello@bradowens.com. I'm happy to take your questions. Until next time, I want to thank you for making it this far in the video. I will see you on the next one. Bye.